Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and this one is a design team project for ArtStacks. So ArtStacks are an Australian company and they make these fabulous packs of collage papers. I will soon be stocking these on my website. They are winging their way to the UK now as we speak. There will be a really lovely selection of these available. So this is one of the new tissue packs that they've just released. This is a collection of lots of the tissue pages that are available in other packs, and you get them all together. So they're a lovely quality tissue paper. It's very fine. You don't need to kind of brush it and brush it and brush it to get it to stick down. It sticks down really easily, and as you can see, it's so easy to apply. So here I'm sticking it down using some matte medium, and I am sticking it onto some watercolour paper. So the reason I'm using watercolour paper is I'm going to be making a mobile using the tissue paper as my background, and I wanted to do a project with the tissue paper that would kind of let the tissue paper sing and it wouldn't be disappeared under lots of usual mixed media layers. As you know, those are the kind of projects I like to create. So here I'm just sticking some pieces of the collage paper onto the watercolour paper just to create some different backgrounds. I am doing them double-sided as well because they're going to be hanging up on a mobile, and I want both sides of the paper to be interesting. So I'm sticking them down, then I'm going to give them a really good dry, and I'm making sure, like I say, that both sides are covered on these pages. So next I'm going to be using some Lindy's pigment powders to add some colours to these, and I think I kind of used a bit of a mixture of some of the most recent releases from Lindy's with all the rainbow colours, and I kind of wanted to go with some quite bright colours. As you can see, I've swatched them as well onto those spray cans. So the spray can is part of a swatching set that I designed for Funky Fossil. I think I still have some of those available on my website too. They are really useful for swatching. In fact, I've got a bit obsessed with swatching. I was never really bothered before, but it's a new thing. So I'm just popping a little bit of each pigment into this palette, and then I'm just going to activate them using a bit of water to create a bit like a watercolour, just like a little pool of watercolour. And you can see some of these have got like shaker lids, and where the little lids hadn't been fastened properly, some of the pigment had escaped. So that's why I was unscrewing them over the kitchen paper, because I didn't want to lose any pigment because it's very precious. So I am, as you can see, I've got like a bit of a sort of rainbow selection going on here, and I'm just tapping out a little bit of the pigment, and then I'm going to add some water. I just use a pipette to pop some water into the little wells in the palette, and then give them a really good mix, and then they are ready to paint with. So now I am just going to use a lovely flat brush, put some water onto my surface, and then add some of the pigment on top. And you can see it does behave just like watercolour really. It'll move around and you can add layers. So the more layers you add, the darker it'll get. Obviously I could also pop some pigment onto the top of there, like I'm going to do here, and just create some more depth with the colour too. Lots of fun, these Lindy's pigments. If you haven't had a play with them, I can recommend getting hold of them. They are really lovely, some beautiful colours. So I did this on all my pieces of patterned cardstock, kind of mixing and matching my colours, letting them flow into one another, adding more colours in, and just building the interest on these pieces, just so that they were lovely and colourful. So then I decided I would use a stencil to cut out my hearts, and so using that as a template, I drew around some of the larger hearts just so that they would all be fairly similar, and I could then use those as my starting point. I didn't use the stencil for all of the heart shapes, but just for some of the bigger ones to get started. I ended up cutting them out without drawing through the stencil first. So I wanted to make sure that I had a really good selection of different sizes of hearts, from big right down to small ones. And then what I did was I took them to my sewing machine and threaded them through one at a time and created a little string of hearts. If this isn't something you've tried doing and you have a sewing machine, it is so easy to do. You basically pull the threads behind the sewing machine, press your foot on the pedal, start sewing, pull the thread out the back, and then as you are pulling the thread from the back of the machine, insert the heart inside the front, let it go through, and it will then be attached to the threads, and keep sewing, and then pop another one in, and eventually you will have a string of hearts or whatever it is that you are sewing together. It is so easy to do. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate because I have actually broken my sewing machine at the minute, so that's not so good. But this was really a really easy way to create a mobile effect. So here I'm just using some black archival ink and outlining those hearts, giving them a little bit of definition around the edges. And then, like I say, I took them to my sewing machine and sewed them all together to create some really nice long dangly heart strings. Here you go. Then I've grabbed 2 pieces of driftwood and I've tied them together using some sari ribbon, and then I just fastened the strings of hearts onto the mobile frame from the top, and I added some handmade beads to the bottom of each of the strings. That just added a little bit of weight and meant that it would hang really nicely. This looks really pretty. This is a lovely way to use the new tissue papers from ArtStacks. It really lets those patterns sing because you've got the pretty colours that are a little bit translucent. They're not as heavy as using acrylic paint, so you can still see the background behind them, but you've got those beautiful pops of colour. So it's a lovely way to create using this new tissue pack set. These will be available on my website soon. Yeah, so just keep checking back because I know that they are on their way. So we just need the Australian and UK post to hurry up, and then they will be here very soon. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this little project. There is a little video at the end just showing how it looks once it's hanging up. So it's a really nice thing to do if you've got a little space that you can call your own. You can kind of display your creation. Here it is. Yeah, in a little video. You can see the little beads on the bottom. They just help add a little bit of weight as well. So I love the way the different colours work. I also added a Lindy's shimmer spray to the pages too, just to give them a little bit of sparkle. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching this project. Yeah, and I hope to see you again soon.